morning. Time is now 9:05 a.m. Quorum is present, so call the meeting to order. Please rise and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Do we have Ms. Bales joining us? Okay, we do have Ms. Genevieve Bales from FHWA on the line. I also want to note that the newly elected mayor of San Elizario, Mr. Antonio Araujo, is at the table. He was actually here at the last meeting, was participating from the audience. And so, Mayor, welcome, and thank you for your attendance last month and this month. Let's see, I don't have any other new announcements. So go to open comment.
For open comment, we have Mr. Mike Rooney. Okay. We have Mr. John Iberg. And again, just a reminder for open public comment, it is 3 minutes per member.
Thank you. Buenos dias, good morning, Chair, Board, Todos. My name is John Iberg, a.k.a. Juanito Iberg, a.k.a. Biker John, and I am an expert bicyclist. Our hidden gem of the world, the crossroads of North America, anchored by El Paso, Ciudad Juarez, and Las Cruces, is getting known. A couple of weeks ago, I met what they call Ride the Divide. People paddling from Antelope Wells up to Montana, pedaling the Continental Divide. Met this gentleman who is pedaling at Crazy Cat Airport, where Frank, Assistant Manager Frank, and I gave him some suggestions about how to get to Antelope Wells. I have pedaled that, and I gave him very specific directions. Where from Montana, take Montana down to Yandell to Kansas, Kansas to Paisano, US 85. But you have to take the lane from Union Station all the way to Executive Center because of construction. That's going to aggravate some of those people, but just take the lane, and when it's safe, they'll pass. We need to stimulate this. It's burgeoning. It's growing. We need to advise people, maybe put out some brochures, some flyers, that our roads are multimodal, that we do have the International Fort Hancock Las Cruces I-10 bicycle bypass, that it is bicycle friendly. And I have gone to the BAC about this. This is things, but you are such an important part of it because making our roads multimodal as you are doing makes a huge difference. And I want to thank all of you for that good work. So thank you all very much. Any questions?
Members, do you have any questions? No. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate you being here.
Okay, I got minutes for next time, right? Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Alejandro Lozano. Alejandro?
Good morning, board. Just want to say thank you for your service. It's been a long haul. In 2005 and 2006, City Council approved the expansion of airways to Delta. First phase was airways to Commerce. Second phase was Commerce to Delta between the refineries. In 2006, with the floods, we diverted and we kind of put it on hold. And today I still wonder where that project is. And apparently it's not in your books. And you know, when we created the mayor form of government, the manager form of government, our idea was to keep projects on the go and continuing regardless of the administrations. Because before, administration changed and projects changed. So today, I hope that we continue that process of continuing projects from administrations to administrations. Apparently, Airways was deleted. We spent over $1 million in feasibility studies. We went through all the hoopla. the state was going to put 90% of the cost, and yet it was forgotten. And I hope that that this board looks into it and brings it back. Thank you very much.
Do we have any questions? Do we have other public comment?
Yes, next I have, and let me just double check. Ms. Serrano, were you gonna do public comment? No. Blanca Serrano with TechStat.
Okay.
No.
Good morning, Blanca Serrano with the Department of Transportation. I'm the local government project coordinator. The reason for my visit this morning is to announce to you guys that there's a call for projects right now. There's an open call for projects for Highway Safety Improvement the State Highway Safety Improvement Program, the 2019 through 2022 program. It's a $300 million call that the department has open right now. I'm looking at having maybe a workshop sometime next week. So be looking for an email from me. I'm going to be sending, I think I have information for most of you, information regarding the program and when the workshop will be next week. And if you have anybody that you'd like for me to send the information to, I will be here and see me after the meeting, okay? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And that is all for open comment.
Okay. Move on to the agenda, item 1.
Agenda item number 1, discussion and action to approve the motions and minutes for the May 18th Transportation Policy Board meeting.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Do I have any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Item 2.
Item number 2 is discussion and action to approve the proposed amendments to the federal fiscal year 2018-2019 Unified Planning Work Program. 2A, decrease subtask 5.1 active transportation system by $345,000. Item B, increase subtask 4.1 Metropolitan Transportation Plan by $300,000. Item C, increase subtask 1.1 Program Administration by $45,000. And item D is to identify the use of consultants in subtask 4.1 Metropolitan Transportation Plan and task 4.2 Regional Transportation Modeling Activities.
Good morning. I'm Isela Hooper, Program Coordinator here at the MPO. When we first created the UPWP, we estimated the amounts in each subtask based on the work performed in prior years. The thing with this year is that we did a little bit different in that we worked on 2 MTPs, and so the transfer to 4.1 is to account for that additional work. The transfer to 1.1 for the admin subtask is this year in this UPWP, we added the coordination activities to this task, and so we just need to increase the admin just by a little bit. And then the last change is to add the statement on consultants. We do have this statement at the beginning of our UPWP, but it was recommended that we put it in each of the subtasks just to make it more clear where it was that we received the help from the consultants. And so these are the changes if you have any questions.
Members, do you have any questions? I have a motion to approve. I have a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries.
Item number 3 is discussion action to amend the Horizon 2040 Metropolitan Transportation Plan and the Horizon 2017-2020 Transportation Improvement Program to amend the racetrack drive sidewalk installation construction phase project, MPO ID number E601X-2 CNE100190 to install approximately 1,300 5-foot linear feet of city sidewalk along both sides of Racetrack Drive in Sunland Park, New Mexico, to program additional construction funds in fiscal year 2018 using $105,000 of Transportation Alternative Program for New Mexico funds and $105,000 of local contribution funds for a total of $210,000.
Trent?
Mr. Chair, we've recently had conversations with Federal Highway concerning this action item. And at this point, Federal Highway has agreed that there's currently not a mechanism to amend the plan, so I would move that we delete this item from the agenda.
Okay. I have a motion and a second.
I'll let Mike answer this.
Right, so it is a function of the grace period that we're in. What is unique about this project, that it is currently in the same plan. So the question to the federal partner is that, can we make a change, in this case, add money to a plan that exists in the same plan? And they came back and they said that ultimately that there is no mechanism to entertain that change.
But we will revisit this at some point.
Yes, sir, there is an
Because
opportunity.
these are good projects. It's not a lot of money. It's-
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I have a motion from Mr. Doolittle and a second from Mayor Perea. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries.
Next, we have discussion action to approve recommendations from the Executive Committee. And the items may be discussed in executive session under 551.074 Personnel Matters for item number 4 and 5. Item number 4 is extend Executive Director's date of retirement until July 31st, 2018.
Okay. Is there any need to, is there anyone wanting to make a motion to go into executive session on this item, or I'll entertain a motion otherwise?
We're just extending it. Yeah, we're just a month and move to approve.
Okay. All right. I have a motion and a second.
I'm sorry, who seconded?
I did.
Margot,
They
I'm
have
sorry,
2
Mayor.
seconds, so that's a quarter each.
Well, Alderman Miller, is a second.
Alderman.
Or is that an 8? Quarters.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Next is discussion action to approve the recommendations from the Executive Committee for item number 5. Again, item can be discussed under executive session under section 551.074 Personnel Matters, and that is to proceed on the hiring of the new Executive Director and amend the federal fiscal year 2018-2019 Unified Planning Work Program to add appropriate subtask.
I'll recognize the Alderman, yes.
As a member of the executive committee, I want to assure this body that we are moving forward, and there are we have had multitude of discussion regarding this item. However, at the moment, we feel like we would be better prepared to offer a better recommendation if we postpone this item until the next meeting. So I would move to postpone this item until the July meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
I'm sorry.
Mayor.
I can't have Mayor
I understand.
Margos.
Mayor Perea seconded the
Okay.
motion to postpone. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Thank you.
Next, we have item number 6 under reports, and that is the Center for Transportation Infrastructure Systems presented by.
Postpone till November. Or I'll withdraw my motion. I just wanted to worry them.
Good morning. My name is Roberto Osegueda. I'm the Vice President for Research at UTEP. I've been in this role approximately for 13 years already. Dee, good to see you. Before I go on to the presentation on the Center for Transportation Infrastructure Systems, let me tell you a little bit about what we do at UTEP with respect to research and sponsor project activities. I am the chief research official in the university. I oversee all the research and sponsor contracts our faculty receive. On a yearly basis, we submit over 600 proposals per year to multiple agencies, federal, We procure something in the order of about $50 to $80 million in new grants coming into the university, primarily generated by a cadre of about 325 faculty members across the campus. The percent of our faculty in securing grants with respect to our total population is extremely high and very unusual for a university. And that is because we don't have resources or state resources that we do in research, so we have a very good culture of our own faculty submitting proposals to seek funding. And that is tremendous success of what we do. We generate in expenditures approximately about $95 million per year. So it's a significant, and the majority of that money, by the way, it is to support students, initiatives all across the campus. Today, I want to talk to you about, on the relationship of the Center for Transportation Infrastructure Systems. This is a center that has been established for about 25 years under the leadership of Dr. Sohail Nazarian, and many of you know of the activities we do in this center. And we've been under a master agreement or collaboration for many, many years, and our current one is going to expire in 2019. But in essence, we have been able to find a very good niche in the relationship between CTIS and MPO. A couple of years ago, we assigned one single point of contact to support MPO in all the things associated with special needs, access to talent, and everything. So the vision of the center and the mission is to serve the region, okay, and to provide excellence in all the areas of transportation. Some of the sponsors that the research center has it's been incredible. They have a very diverse portfolio of activities that includes grants from Department of Transportation, USDOT. They are designated the National Center, University Transportation Center. Okay, this is the picture of the core faculty, 11 core faculty members. We have also staff of about 10 engineers, but at any given time, that center employs in the neighborhood of about 60 students who are continuing their careers and is continue to support the generation of talent here in the region. This is an example. By the center not only does engineering type of work, they also have access to tap into expertise all across the campus. Okay, we've done that. For example, in that particular diversity of faculty, we have faculty in computer science. We also have faculty in physics. Okay. In terms of the expertise and capabilities that we've been able to support, the MPO, it is associated with planning, operations, and logistics, infrastructure evaluation and management, air quality, road and user safety, transportation materials design, sustainable environmental and for transportation infrastructure. Some of the new initiatives where the center is getting involved is primarily on resilience and disaster recovery preparedness, transportation safety and security, and infrastructure health monitoring. Okay, some of the benefits of the partnerships, as you can see there, okay, the relationship started early on in 1998, and one of my colleagues, I believe it was Dr. Ui at the time, it started with this relationship before his retirement, but it's been going on, and we have supported a tremendous number of activities for MPO. Okay, so the partnership really provides the mutual benefits to both of us, primarily by giving access to experts and excellence when we need it, when they need it. Okay, of course, in the process, because of our philosophy of access and excellence at UTEP, the student component is always important in every project that we do at the university. So we continue grooming talent for future employment conditions, especially when they stay here in El Paso. The other benefit, too, is that the talent is also supporting in the things that we're very good. And one of the things UTEP is very good is in the writing of competitive proposals. This is an area that I do focus extremely hard in the university. We do the management of proposal submission in a very special way, where we put a lot of emphasis at the end in proposal quality, and that's basically what generates the success that we've been having in research on the campus. So we supported MPO in many different initiatives where we're supporting proposal submissions by the region. This is an example of the expertise that we're providing in air quality and traveling modeling. Claudia, I believe you're here somewhere. She's here. She is working on implementing travel models between U.S. and Mexico, coordinated with air quality as well. Okay, Raquel Lopez, she is in the IT and computer science, but she's supporting the development of transportation improvement programs. And Dr. Marqueta Vabrova, she has an expertise in implementing the planning and performance measurements of defense corridor. And I believe Marqueta is here, and she will be providing a demonstration of the work she's done for MPO. So, Imad, you're going to do that? Oh, and this is Dr. Imad Abdallah. He is the person who is the single point of contact for the MPO and anything that we can be of service. Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Imad Abdallah. I'm the Executive Director of CTIS, and I just wanted to show you a demonstration of some of the work that we have done with MPO. This came about 6 months, 8 months ago. I was sitting in one of the meetings. As Roberto said, I was designated to help MPO and provide expertise from UTEP. And I would sit in some of the progress meetings, and one of the research projects that Marqueta was working on, they were presenting some of the performance measures for MPO that they use in their planning. And I suggested to Mike that we can put this web tool together for easy access. And I will show you a demonstration of what it is. It's a pilot demonstration. It's a pilot tool for the Montana corridor. Okay, so I don't have the keyboard here. Could you type in? Here. If you just type E, you should, oh, there it is. Okay, this is a smart browser. There you go. Okay, so the browser, you have to access it. Of course, it's secure. You have to have a permission from NPO to be able to get to it. Right now, the only ones that would have access is myself, Marqueta, the people that are working on it from UTEP, and Mike. And again, this is a pilot program, so we kind of wanted to demonstrate the capabilities of what we can do. The focus of this was the Montana corridor and presenting the performance measures for evaluating the transportation modes. And the idea behind it is, you have a web tool, you can easily access it. You have your planning blocks within community to region, and then region to region. And with each of those, you have certain performance measures that are under those blocks. And they did the research, Marqueta and her group, and we were basically presenting it online. Okay, as part of the 4 performance blocks, the planning blocks, we have these performance measures. It's hard to read them, but what I wanted to show was, you have transportation modes, anywhere from driving, transit, walking, biking, and freight. And for each of those performance measures fall under certain modes. And I guess there's a report on this if you would like to go into the detail. The focus of this tool here is to present the Montana corridor. It's made of 7 sections. That's how it was analyzed, and the data was presented based on the El Paso MPO transportation demand model that you guys have. And it was broken up into 7 sections and varying from 2.3 miles to 4.7 miles. The entire Montana corridor that was analyzed was about 24 miles here. And it's a 1 mile in each direction, where we got the data and are presenting it. So when the tool opens, you have these 4 slides sort of to introduce the tool. And there's also a video tutorial that can take you through it. It's very easy to use. It takes about 5 minutes of your time, but there is a tutorial that will guide you through it. And a couple of links here that will answer some questions. And again, my email is provided in case we put one point of contact if anyone has questions. And like I said, the data is what we're showing is data from various sources: HWA, Census, U.S. Census, local sources that we're showing, and it was analyzed as part of the research, and we're just presenting it in this tool here. So I'll go on to the tool.
You had the breakdown on Montana?
Yes.
You had the mileage, population?
Sure. Let me reload it. I guess you're talking about this slide here, right?
Yeah. Now, you talk about 68,000 workers in the area, 120,000 residents. How far off of Montana, or is that actually on Montana itself?
Very good question. So as I said, it's the Montana Avenue, and we went 1 mile on each direction of the avenue.
Each direction.
Yes.
And how did you decide to break it into the 7 sections?
Okay. Another good question. I mentioned this when we got. I guess Marqueta can answer that in terms of the data and where they got the sources. And we're just presenting it, but I think
because there's only 2 employees in Section 7.
Yeah, Section 7 is very, as you will see, it's very further, way further up.
Other person is that works.
It's much further up in Montana where there's not much activity. But yes, you're right.
Well, I can go ahead and explain. So as he mentioned, is that we're using our travel demand model, and the functionality here is that we're using the traffic analysis zones. And so it would be ideal to examine the entire corridor as a whole. It's just that the way the model works, it's sectioned. So all the demography is contained within the zone. One of the things that we're looking at, if the board would like to see it a little bit more sophisticated, is actually going down to the project level where there's more sophisticated tools. So ideally here is that we can essentially do scenario planning at the corridor level. And you'll see the demonstration where as you start to move away from the central, or the CBD, the Central Business District, you start to see how the infrastructure is in play and the gaps associated with that. One of the key elements here to take away is that what it does for this policy board is it provides data, and also it identifies the areas that need those gaps served. So in the end is that when the board moves forward with the development of a new plan, you're able to see through this pilot program, and then later another component of it, the actual performance of the entire network. So if you are a municipality, if you're a county and you're trying to identify your priorities, this would be a perfect tool to examine.
Yes, and I guess the question came a little early. My pitch to Mike was, let me show you the pilot program, see if you like it. We would like to follow up and do the entire MPO this way. But phase 3 would be to do analysis on the fly. Basically, whatever block you're interested in all of the MPO, you can highlight that area and get whatever statistics you want to be able to use in terms of benchmarking or comparing different corridors and that sort of thing. But we wanted to do it on a small scale first to show.
Traffic counts in those 7 sections as well?
I will show you the performance. The traffic counts is not one of them. No. But we could add That's my idea behind this. You know, if there's data available, we can put it all online. We can put more than one set of data at the same time, so you're able to do your planning and that sort of thing. So, like I said, the first 4 slides are sort of an introduction. Once you get to the 4th slide, you can close that. And we kept it very simple. Again, this was a pilot, and we're just showing the data that was analyzed and presenting it. And the first one is selecting your corridor. We have the Montana right now, and the goal is to expand it to all the corridors. And on the right-hand side, you have a quick instruction of how to use it, where a starting point, and it will tell you to select the Montana corridor. It will show you the 4 planning blocks, and you could select any one of them. Based on that selection, it highlights the performance measures that go with that. And I'm kind of going to show you really quick how it's used. So on the right-hand side, we have the default button to clear. You know, if you kind of, got lost somewhere in it, you can clear and start again. You can print whatever data you see here graphically, and we have at the bottom a summary of the analysis of the graphical representation that you see here. I'll go over it in a second. And you have the transportation modes, the 5, and it highlights whichever one that you're looking at. Whatever performance measure you select, it selects the transportation modes for you. At the bottom of the map, you're going to see a summary of the information. We're looking right now at IRI, the International Roughness Index. That's a federal highway parameter that's used. And in this case, we tell you where the source of the data is. There's any notes that's pertinent to this data, and give you the period of where the data, what period are we looking at. In this case, it's 2015. And you're looking, this is the Montana corridor right here, the 24 miles of a stretch of Montana. And it's showing you, as I mentioned, the IRI, which is the International Roughness Index. In this case, there's a threshold of 170. Any number that's above that, the pavement is in poor condition. Any number that's below that, the pavement is in good condition. And for that 2015 data, you can kind of see the condition of the pavement. I guess this is the business district that Mike was referring to. And as you go further, where you have those 2 employees, as you mentioned earlier, this is that section 7. What we did here, we also include the sections. So if you would like to highlight the sections, it divides it for you in shades of gray. And you can see what sections, and the dark one would be section 7. And as you go lighter, you will see that where the business part of Montana is the denser portion. And I guess it's very useful. It's very easy to use. I'll show you another area of it. You can filter this data, and that's what Mike was referring to in order to see the data on the fly. So if I'm interested in seeing data maybe above a certain number, here we're looking at 170. Let's say I'm interested in looking at data that's larger than 200. So if you type 200, and we want to look at data that's larger than 200, we can display, and it would only highlight those portions. So it's just something for you guys, whoever is doing the planning, that's easy to use. Another functionality of it is, I'm going to switch just to show you a different parameter. I'm going to select, it's hard to see from here. I think crashes, there we go, okay. So this is data that we have obtained. Again, you can look on the source of the data. This is coming from the DOT CRS database, and it's from 2012 to 2016. And that's the power of these type of tools, that you're able to see multiple years. So at this point, we're showing the data for the 2012 to 2016, but you can see data for each particular year. And one feature that we added here that we thought that might be useful is a timeline, so you can see how the progression of traffic happens. Maybe there's more in certain intersections than others. Do you mind typing maybe 10 seconds delay on the, okay. And like this data goes from 2012 to 2016, so I'm going to stretch it for all the years and generate that timeline. So it's going to update. So this would be 2012, as you see here, that's highlighted, and then 2013 data will be overlaid on it, and so forth. Just another feature that might help in terms of decision planning. So now that I selected it, we kind of have to go through all the years. Okay, and so it goes through all of them, and you can see where the crashes happens from that data source. Like I said, you're free to select any of these blocks, and whatever data we have is provided. And if it's not provided, you're able to. It will tell you here some of the in terms of the summary. Another feature is you can go and zoom in if you would like to, just like you would use your Google map, or you want to zoom in on a certain area. There's a feature that I really like. I don't know. Let's see here. If I go to the crashes, for example, and I zoom in to an intersection, let's say I'm interested in this intersection right here. By the way, I kind of went too fast. It's color coded, so you could tell fatal crashes from none, and I guess it's all in the legends as well. So you would see it right here. These are crashes. The ones in red in fatal injuries, and the ones in orange are serious injuries. But if you go back to the map, and just like you would use your Google map and you hit satellite, I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit on. I'm showing you my Google skills now. Okay. And you can actually do like you would do on, it would give you the position of where that accident actually happened. So it's pretty nice feature at that intersection. Let me see if I can go further. I think I jumped too far, right? Okay, right here. So it kind of gives you position, the geospatial position of where those crashes happen from where we got the data. So anyway, these are some of the features of the program, and the main idea is to allow the folks that work with NPO and the partners to be able to use this type of data for planning and so forth. So, yeah.
The data?
Very good question. So, I set you up for all these questions, huh?
I'm reading them the way you wrote them for me yesterday.
One of the way I sold this, exactly. One of the ways I sold this to Mike, and I just wanted to say thanks to Mike because we work very, like I said, I've been on this for 2 years, and Mike has been a good partner with us. I've proposed a lot of things to him, and some he says no, and some he says yes. And one of the things I mentioned to him here is, like we've done for TxDOT, we build this tool so it's updatable without having to have a programmer every time you have a set of data to have a programmer go and redesign it or do anything. So there's a background sort of GUI that allows you to load this data automatically. Now, this is data that's been processed. And like I said, phase 2 would be to implement it for all of Montana, for all of NPO. And I would love phase 3 to be analyze it on the fly. So you would select a specific area, and any performance measure you want will be pulled out. That's a little bit more extensive because now we're doing the analysis automated. But in terms of data, you can load it. So anytime, for example, I showed you the RI data. If we have 2016, 2017, 2018, we keep upgrading, and you will have a historical set of data. And it's done automatically. You don't have to reprogram. I don't need a programmer anymore. Our programmers, students, by the way, from computer science, have done this to a way that we can upload it whenever that data is available in the same format.
Yeah, but we can't access it.
This work was done for Mike. He can, and whoever Mike, I think, sees, whoever the director sees feasible should be able to access that information. I mean, I just do the research, so.
Right, so the whole idea here is that, the way I see the federal partner in the future in evaluating our plans, and if we're meeting performance measurements, this is a way to do it. So ideally is that there are municipalities and other transportation agencies that don't have the capability to do these type of analysis. So when the NPO has a call for projects, we already know, in theory, where this data is at. So we're using this type of pilot program to identify those gaps or those incidents or what have you, and it'll help those agencies come back to the NPO and say, hey, for example, you have a call for projects, but we have a safety concern on Montana, and there's no project identifying mitigation for that. So it could be an intersection improvement project that the NPO can examine, and based on this data, it feeds back to the requirement that the federal partner has for the NPOs with regard to performance-based planning.
So I have a question. Do you have an estimated date as to when you'll go live? I mean, it's a pilot program now, but where that it would be where it'd be available to, like, even the public, or, but
Right,
at least
so-
to the other agencies in doing the planning?
That's an excellent question.
That was one.
And I didn't give, I didn't have to.
I asked him to give me at least one.
Yeah, right. So what we're doing is that I do have a proposal from UTEP, and we've accepted it. So the idea is that to come back to the policy board through the UPWP and ask for the policy board to do that. One of the things that we would like to also do is magnify it so that everybody has access to it. So again, is that the way I see performance-based planning is that this would be an excellent tool moving that way.
But you don't have an estimate.
Well, it's a functionality of how extensive the board wants it. So going back to what Chairman Pickett said is that if you want us to take actual traffic counts, whether from the city, from the county, from TxDOT, New Mexico Dot, the question is how sophisticated you want it. The purpose of the pilot is to make the investment so that we pay for that expense up front. The easy part now is asking the board, how do you want it?
So let me just add to that. So the functionality of the tool is there. It's how much you want to put into
You
it
want to
now.
populate
Yes,
in terms of the
data.
information. Okay.
Yes, behind it.
Thank you.
So who's the list of people who have access?
Right now, from the MPO? Me.
Well, I heard that.
And the developers, myself and Marqueta, who,
But what, kind of going what Monica asked, I mean, is this available, for instance, this is one of TxDOT's priorities, is going from global reach to 375 as a full-blown freeway
Right.
section.
right.
And not to scare people, we're not double-decking Montana and doing the 24 miles, but that section there is under development right now, is this data
Mike, isn't that one of the
shared
reasons?
with TxDOT?
Yeah.
Because TxDOT's looking at, it's gonna be limited access. Right now, where you're showing these actions, I'm very familiar with that. I saw one 2 days ago on Montana. And TxDOT's plan is there's gonna be very few crossovers in that section between Global Reach and 375. In fact, I think there's only gonna be, I don't know, 3, maybe, I know some from TxDOT's here. We're now, a lot of these accidents, like where you have Lee Boulevard right there, if you go further west, there's a residential area where the crossover is just a little east of their entrance, and so people go against the traffic to make those
Right.
entrance turns.
Right, and so the reason why we did this is to demonstrate that. So we know that the district has a lot of investment on that corridor. And what you're seeing here is the baseline. So once the project comes into play, we can measure the performance of that project.
And the yellow meant that there was
Um,
injuries,
But
and
not
the red
fatal.
was fatalities. And how about just showing all accidents? What, you've got serious and fatal.
Fatal, uh-huh.
How about just accidents that aren't serious or fatal?
I don't, that's
Is that under like?
Right.
She have it documented well, I can tell you.
Yeah, I think that what's very important, and I think it's what you're hitting on, is that you can examine a corridor, and as a function of the performance measurement, the board can set a goal for that. So if the incident rate is X amount for 1 year, then the goal is to, as a function of time.
I see Eddie, I'm gonna take pictures of this for you, Eddie. And then I'm gonna send them to you so you have the information.
No, it's Eddie Maltier, Texas Department of Transportation. So yes, we do have a project on Montana. And so all the data you see here that UTEP is doing in this tool, in our individual studies, we have been doing that. So all the crashes from CRIS data, all the different congestion issues, all that has been taken into consideration. So what this is, from what I'm seeing today, is it's a tool that we can use as well in the future. This wasn't available to us for the study, but all this has already been taken into account.
Oh, maybe. Right now, it's only Mike. Till July.
Anyway, that's what I have. I just wanted to show you guys the tool, and it's secure, and we need to, you know, if whoever needs access with permission of Mike, we'll be more than glad to.
That's it.
And if there's any recommendations, because again, is that
Yes.
we do have the financial resources to bring back before I leave to do this. And so we're open to any suggestions from all the community here.
Actually, that's a great point. Whatever data that you think we can try to see and gather, and part of the next phase to have.
To that point, are there any comments, questions, additions? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Do we have any? In front- Okay, public comment?
Public comment from Mr. Mike Rooney.
Mike, I've already submitted a request to give you access to this, so I've already.
Thank you, Mike Rooney. So if the MPO, if these people, folks, members of the MPO approve this, you're going to put all those bright-looking young UTEP students to work. Is that correct on this study? They'll be a part of it. Is that why they're down here? Just give me a yes or a no. Everybody's shaking their head. A yes. Question on, now you said 1 mile north and south. That didn't mean anything. Does 1 mile south include Edgemere and Pebble Hills, or does it go as far as Montwood? Because from what I've seen, because Montana takes so much traffic along with 601, those other streets going east and west have been taking a lot of traffic. So the presenter, can you tell me how far south 1 mile is? Does it include Edgemere? Does it include Pebble Hills?
Right, well, Mr. Rooney, the answer is that just depending upon the geography of the infrastructure, it will include several parallel streets. So in this case, to a certain extent, it does contain all those. And I think that's a very good observation because we can examine a buffer of any size. And the way I would see this tool working is that if, like you said, that it takes a lot of, there's a lot of users on Montana. So if we can no longer add capacity or mitigate congestion on Montana, then we need to start looking at Edgemere.
Well, and then
and et
another
cetera.
thing is, I'm constantly bugging the city over repaving the faded safety striping, and I'm also bugging them for repairing potholes. So, you know, it just seems like everything kind of eventually flows together, and then they have to put money into their budget too. I'm not against it. I always like stuff like that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rooney. Do we have other public comment?
No additional public comment.
Wait, do we have any other questions of the presenters on this? Nope.
So this was a pilot program to actually complement what TxDOT was doing on within that corridor. We were also examining the gap analysis of that corridor, specifically what is owned by TxDOT. So what we can actually demonstrate is where there is a lack of connectivity as it relates to multimodalism. So there is that we can, you know, make the tool as sophisticated as you all want. We can actually compare corridor versus corridor and examine projects by that priority with regard to multimodal. So if here is that once the district completes the project, then we can look at other corridors to see how Montana is functioning and vice versa.
So there's no other corridors planned at this point?
With the upcoming amendment, the answer is yes. And again, is that the reality of it here is just really a functionality of how much funding the board is willing to assign to this project and how sophisticated the data is needed.
What are some of those other corridors?
So we plan to examine all of the 5 corridors that are on state to include US 54, I-10, Loop 275, and then other major arterials.
Such as Mesa, Alameda,
Yes.
okay, Montana.
Pebble Hills, Edgemere, things of that nature. So that's why it's important that we view things in its relationship to a buffer. Because if there is a priority for the city to identify paving conditions, remember that's of regional significance and there's eligibility with regard to funding to address the city's need. So by having this tool and you look at the 1 mile buffer, whatever the buffer is, it provides the city that information and the MPO already has it. So when we have a call for projects, we can identify on behalf of the cities that there's an improvement here that's needed. And so if there's not a project that is identified, the MPO should be able to make that recommendation to the board.
And so specifically for state corridors at this point?
It's state and major arterials.
Okay.
Judge?
You all mentioned using this tool for resilience and disaster recovery. To what extent do you think that would be, how this could be helpful in that regard?
So, from my point of view, whenever there's data available, we can present it here. So if that type of data is available, historical, we're able to automate it for you and present it in any type of data you're looking at.
And the idea there is also to use this platform as an evacuation component.
Even in that sense.
We've just been designated having problems with air quality there in the Sunland Park area. Can you kind of pinpoint where that's coming from for us, so we don't have to live with it?
Well, I think that what the MPO has done through the Rider 7 program is that it has done 2 studies, one through UTEP and one through NMSU, and we know where those precursors come from. So one of the things that NMSU did as a function of this project is that they examined the amount of pollution that's related to the region and also mobile. But going back to your question is that I can certainly meet with you to identify those areas in southern Doñana, because when we develop a new plan or when the rule is effective, the MPO will have to go back and demonstrate to the federal partner that we are complying with the rule. So this too becomes another important way to examine, that component of air quality.
Good, thank you.
Can I ask Marcus a question?
Yes, sir.
I've asked you this for information in the past. Do you keep traffic counts on your major arterials? And is that available without open records requests, or?
Actually, it's posted on our city website.
So you go to the City of El Paso website, you can type in a
Location, and it'll give you the volumes for that.
and you probably do some kind of, I don't know, system. Do you update it as needed, or just?
It's
kind of-
updated as counts are taken.
So I can go to the City of El Paso website and then go to where from there? I'm just kind of
Yeah,
curious.
typically you get an update per quarter. So we'll get all the counts that we've done that quarter and that year and update those
Because like
locations.
Walter and I were talking, business people ask a lot of times about traffic counts on particular intersections and that kind of stuff.
And that's-
And that's available on the city's
Yeah,
website.
that's the reason that we did it and put it on the website, because we used to get a lot of calls and says, what's the count there? What's the count there? Can you give me the numbers for, I'm opening a business. So for us, by us doing the information and putting the information on the website, it reduces the number of calls and they can access that information.
So is that something that can be worked into
Absolutely.
the system that you have?
Yes, the data is available, so we can upload it, overlap it with all the other data that we have.
Could I get you guys to talk after the meeting?
Absolutely. There's a lot more information that is available than just that payment
And
condition. It's
and do
gonna
you
come
also
out.
put, I know we're supposed to house in one place, but do you put the accidents that happen on city streets anywhere?
The Texas has a record
Right.
of all collisions, and that's the official record for it. But it's always 1 year behind.
I know.
So we analyze that, and we have access to, local access to more information, but I don't know that we can put that out to the public. There are some, information that is private, that I don't think that we can put it, but we can filter some of that information and then it goes out to, something like this. But in terms of, the organizations that are needing the information, Texas gets information on that. New Mexico gets it, New Mexico DOT gets it. We get the information and we use it to plan, along with MPO, what type of projects and what funding categories we can use. There are some that, talk about safety projects, and we use collision information for the previous 3 years, to justify some of those requests.
Just add one thing, we can always have level of security. There's some data that could be available and some, like Mike should be aware of all the data, but there's others that could have certain level of, so.
Let me see if I asked everything you wrote.
I was going to say, there's a couple that you didn't.
Did I miss anything that you wrote? I got it.
You even added a couple of your own. That was good. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I think there's a lot to follow up on here. Are there do we have any other public comment? No? Anyone have any announcements? I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Got a motion. Have a second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstaining? The time is now 10:01 a.m. and this meeting is adjourned.